Here's a mindset shift I want you to make right now, and I think it's the most practically useful thing I'm going to say in this entire video. The VA home loan is the only loan program that factors in the cost of childcare as a part of your debt-to-income calculation. PCS orders combined with the VA loan is one of the most powerful combinations in residential real estate. All right, I promised you this at the top of the video, and here it is. And I want to really let this land. If you just Googled VA loan limits 2026 and you ended up here, I want you to stop whatever you're doing and pay attention for the next few minutes, because there's a very good chance you've been operating under a completely wrong assumption about your VA loan, and that assumption may be costing you real money and real options right here in Kansas City. We're going to clear all of it up today. Full entitlement, partial entitlement, what the new numbers actually mean, and what you can buy in KC with zero down on a VA home loan. And stick around until the end. I'm going to show you what that same money gets you in San Diego or Northern Virginia versus Kansas City. And I promise you, it is going to make you feel very good about where you're headed. And here's the thing. I want you to keep in mind the entire time you're watching this video, by the end, I'm going to show you a side-by-side comparison that no algorithm, no Zillow map, and no national real estate influencer is ever going to give you, because they don't live here and they don't work this market every single day. I do, so stay with me. And as always, don't forget that I want to hear from you. I make these videos because I want you to call or text me with questions, and helping veterans is my favorite thing to do. Real quick before we get into it, I'm Joe Nelson, 21-year Air Force veteran, licensed realtor, and mortgage originator, and I lead Nelson Home Group, the highest rated real estate team on Google in the entire Kansas City metro, operating under Keller Williams KC North. The VA loan is not a side hustle for me. It is the core of what we do, and if you've ever wanted the VA loan explained by someone who actually works this benefit in this market every single day, you're in the right place. I've helped countless veterans navigate this exact benefit in this exact market, and I make these videos because I genuinely believe that the more you understand your VA loan before you ever talk to a lender or an agent, the better your outcome is going to be. All right, let's get into it. Here is the single biggest misconception I run into with veterans all the time. And look, it doesn't matter what branch you served in, whether you're Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, Space Force, we all get this one wrong sometimes. No judgment. We're all busy serving our country. The misconception is this: most veterans believe there's a hard cap on what they can borrow with a VA loan, a ceiling, a number they cannot cross. And the truth is, for the majority of veterans, that's completely false. If you have what's called full entitlement on your VA loan benefit, there is no VA-imposed loan limit. Zero. None. The Department of Veterans Affairs will guarantee 25% of whatever your lender approves you for, whether that's $400,000, $600,000, even $1 million. And you can do it with zero down payment on a VA home loan. That change happened on January 1st, 2020, when the Blue Water Navy Vietnam Veterans Act of 2019 went into effect. Congress looked at veterans and said, your service is not capped, so your housing benefit shouldn't be either. And that is exactly right. Now, does that mean every lender will hand you a blank check? No, absolutely not, and we're going to break that down in a minute. But the VA itself is not the one putting a ceiling on your buying power. Your lender is, and there's a big difference between those two things. So let's talk about the part where it actually gets complicated, because I want to be straight with you. And this is where a lot of online content either glosses over the details or gets the VA loan explained completely wrong. There are two situations you might be in. The first is full entitlement. You have full entitlement if you've never used your VA loan before, or if you've previously used a VA loan, sold that home, paid off the loan in full, and had your entitlement restored. If that's you, you're in the best position possible. No VA-imposed loan limit, zero down payment required, and the only ceiling on what you can buy is what your lender will approve based on your income, your debt-to-income ratio, and your credit profile. That's it. For the vast majority of veterans I work with, especially first-time VA loan buyers and PCS families coming into Kansas City, this is exactly where they stand. The second situation is partial entitlement. This applies if you currently have an active VA loan on another property that you haven't sold or paid off, which actually comes up a lot with PCS moves, and we can absolutely talk through that. Or if you've had a previous VA loan that ended in foreclosure or default. If you're in the partial entitlement camp, county loan limits do matter. For 2026, the standard baseline conforming loan limit in most Kansas City area counties is $832,750. That's up $26,250 from last year's limit of $806,500. Now, here's what the number actually means for you. It doesn't mean you can't buy above that price point. It means the VA's guarantee calculation is tied to that number, and if your purchase price exceeds what your remaining entitlement covers at zero down, you would need to bring a down payment to close that gap. Specifically, you need to cover 25% of the difference between your purchase price and what your remaining entitlement supports. It is a math problem, not a deal breaker. And honestly, in most of the Kansas City metro, where median home prices are well below that $832,000 baseline, partial entitlement veterans are often still buying with zero down or very minimal out of pocket. The point is, partial entitlement is not a stop sign, it's a speed bump, and a good VA loan specialist can walk you through the exact math in just a few minutes. If you're in that partial entitlement situation right now, maybe because you're PCSing and you still got a VA loan on a home at your last duty station, maybe you're turning that into a rental, and you're not sure what your options are, send me a text or shoot me an email. We can get it done. My contact info is right below this video. I work with people in exactly this position all the time, and a 10-minute conversation completely changes everything. All right, here's the part that most people creating content about the VA loan conveniently skip over, probably because it's less exciting than zero down, no limits, go buy whatever you want, right? I'm going to tell you anyway because I'd rather you know the full picture going in than get surprised at the closing table. Just because the VA has no loan limit for full entitlement veterans does not mean every lender will approve any loan amount. Lenders apply what are called overlays, their own internal requirements on top of VA guidelines. Most lenders are going to want to see a credit score somewhere in the range of 580 to 620 at minimum, though some go higher and some go lower depending on the overall strength of your file. They're going to look at your debt to income ratio. And here's something I want to flag because it almost never comes up in these videos, and it absolutely should. The VA home loan is the only loan program that factors in the cost of childcare as a part of your debt to income calculation. If you have kids and you're paying for daycare or after school care, that monthly cost gets counted in your debt to income. I've seen deals fall apart because an inexperienced lender or agent didn't account for this. I've also seen buyers get pre-approved for a number that felt wrong to them, and when we actually ran their full picture, including childcare costs, it changes the math. This is not a reason to panic, it is a reason to work with someone who knows what they're doing. On our team, we run this correctly from the very first conversation, and it protects you from getting deep into a transaction only to hit a wall. Lenders also run your file through automated underwriting, and the overall strength of your application, income stability, employment history, assets, reserves, all of it plays into whether your file gets approved as submitted. The bottom line is this: the VA loan has no limit for full entitlement veterans, but your lender is the real gatekeeper. That's why who you work with on the lending side matters just as much as the loan itself. A lender who does VA loans every single day knows how to structure your file, knows which investors have the most flexible overlays for your situation, and knows how to get you to the closing table. A lender who does one VA loan a quarter is going to make your life harder than it needs to be. If you've been told by a lender that you don't qualify and you're not sure that's the whole story, or if you just want a second set of eyes on your situation from someone who actually specializes in this, reach out. And I want to mention this specifically. Our mortgage team is licensed in nearly all 50 states. So if you're watching this video and you're not in Kansas City, it doesn't matter. Reach out anyway. We can help you wherever you are. My contact info is right below the video. Here's a mindset shift I want you to make right now, and I think it's the most practically useful thing I'm going to say in this entire video. Stop thinking about loan limits. For most of you, they don't apply anyway. Start thinking about monthly payment, because the real question is never, how much will the VA let me borrow? The real question is, how much am I actually comfortable paying every single month? And those are two very different conversations. Here's where a lot of buyers, and honestly a lot of lenders, they get this wrong. They look at a loan amount, they punch it into a basic mortgage calculator, they get a principal and interest number, and they say, yep, that works. But the number's incomplete. You have to account for property taxes. You have to account for homeowners insurance. If the home is in an HOA, you need that number too. When you add all of those together, your actual monthly housing costs can be meaningfully higher than what a basic calculator shows you. I've had buyers come to me thinking they could afford a certain price point based on a calculator they found online, and when we ran the real numbers, taxes, insurance, the whole picture, the payment landed somewhere different. Not always higher, sometimes actually lower because they did something wrong, but always different. What I want you to do is reverse engineer it. Start with the number you're genuinely comfortable paying every month. Not the number you can technically qualify for out of VA home loan, the number that lets you sleep at night, take a vacation, handle a car repair, and still feel financially healthy. Then we build from there to the purchase price that gets you to that payment. I have a mortgage calculator on my website that accounts for all of it: principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, and I want you to use it. The link is in the description. And then call me, because I will walk you through it personally, how much to put in each of those things, because a calculator gives you a number, but a conversation gives you a plan. If you want to figure out what your real monthly payment looks like on a VA loan in Kansas City, not just the principal and interest, but the full picture, reach out. My contact info is right below the video. 10 minutes on the phone and you'll have real numbers to work with. Now, let's talk about why all of this matters specifically here in Kansas City, because this is where I can tell you things that nobody making generic VA loan content from a studio in Los Angeles is ever going to tell you. The Kansas City metro is large, diverse, with wide ranges of prices and everything else. And where VA loan buyers tend to land depends heavily on income, and you already know what I'm gonna say: monthly affordability. That said, let me give you a general lay of the land. In the Kansas City city limits, you have strong inventory across a wide range of price points and neighborhoods, genuine equity opportunity, and a market that rewards buyers who move decisively. Leavenworth, Kansas, right outside Fort Leavenworth, is one of the most accessible entry points in the metro for VA loan buyers. And if you're PCS into Fort Leavenworth, which I know a number of you watching this are, welcome. We're glad to have you. I've actually done a couple videos about Fort Leavenworth housing. Check those out. But the proximity to Post, the range of price points, and the depth of inventory in that area make it a practical starting point for a lot of families I work with. I always recommend families do their own research on schools, though, using tools like niche.com or greatschools.org, which gives you publicly available data on test scores, graduation rates, and more. I will link those in the description so you can look up any area we talk about today. The Northland. Familiar? The Northland refers to communities north of the Missouri River on the Missouri side of the state line, including areas like Gladstone, Parkville, Smithville, Liberty, and even some Kansas City addresses that fall north of the river. And it's grown significantly over the past decade. It offers a wide range of price points that can work well for VA loan buyers at various income levels, and it is home to multiple school districts that have earned strong independent ratings. Liberty School District, for example, is currently ranked number 18 among all Missouri school districts by niche, with an overall grade of A-. Now, that's a third-party data point, not my opinion, and I'll link that source in the description. For any area we discuss today, I always encourage families to go look up the specifics. The Northland is not one neighborhood. It's a whole region worth exploring depending on your commute, your family size, and your monthly payment target. Blue Springs, Missouri, and Lee Summit, Missouri have been steadily appreciating, and I did a video about those as well, comparing. Go check that out. Families researching schools in that area should look up Blue Springs R4 and Lee Summit school districts. Johnson County, Kansas, covering Overland Park, Olathe, Leawood, and others, represent some of the higher price points in the metro, and it's absolutely within reach for VA loan buyers with full entitlement and the right income profile. But this is exactly where having a handle on your monthly affordability number becomes critical before you start shopping. The overarching message across all of these areas is the same. In virtually every part of Kansas City, a veteran with full entitlement and a clear picture of their monthly budget can buy a real home in a real neighborhood with real upside. And compared to where most of you are coming from, we'll get to that in a minute, these numbers are going to feel almost unfair. If you're trying to figure out which part of Kansas City makes the most sense for your family, budget, commute, schools, monthly payment, all of it, this is exactly the kind of conversation we have every single week with relocating veterans. My contact info is right below this video. Okay, quick myth-busting round, because I hear these constantly and I want to put them down for good. Myth number 1, sellers won't accept VA loan offers. In Kansas City, that is far less of an issue than you may have heard about in other markets. A well-presented VA loan offer from a prepared buyer with a strong pre-approval letter is a competitive offer in this market. A good agent knows how to package it correctly, and that matters more than the loan type on the cover sheet. Myth number 2, my credit isn't good enough for a VA loan. The VA itself does not publish a minimum credit score requirement. Most lenders look somewhere in that 580 to 620 range, some go lower, and some require higher on the overall file. If you've been told you don't qualify, get a second opinion from someone who actually specializes in VA lending before you accept that answer. Myth number 3, I already used my VA loan, so I can't use it again. Completely false. You can restore your entitlement after selling a home and paying off the loan. Many veterans I work with have used their VA home loan 2, 3, 4 times over the course of their careers. I did a video on wealth building using multiple VA loans at the same time. Check that out as well. All these videos are on my VA loan playlist. Myth number 4, I'm still active duty, I can't buy yet. You absolutely can. PCS orders combined with the VA loan is one of the most powerful combinations in residential real estate. You have stable income, a clear timeline, and a benefit that lets you buy with zero down. That is a strong buyer profile. full stop. All right, I promised you this at the top of the video, and here it is. And I want to really let this land. Let's talk about what $300,000 to $400,000 actually buys you on a VA loan, because I think this is the moment that makes everything we just talked about feel real and personal. In Kansas City, depending on the area, your monthly payment target, that range gets you into a 3 or 4 bedroom home with a real yard, a 2-car garage, and square footage that actually fits a family. Solid construction, real equity you can build on. Now, let me tell you what that same money gets you in Northern Virginia, which is where a significant number of Fort Leavenworth families are coming from. You're looking at a 1-bedroom condo, possibly with parking if all the stars align, in a building where the HOA fee rivals a car payment and the walls are thin enough you can hear your neighbor's life choices. San Diego, similar picture. You might find a 2-bedroom townhouse in a neighborhood where street parking is a competitive sport and your backyard is a balcony with a view of another balcony. I'm not exaggerating. The purchasing power gap between a high cost of living military market and Kansas City is genuinely staggering. And veterans who have spent years in those markets feeling like homeownership was always just out of reach, Kansas City is going to feel like a completely different world. Zero down on a VA home loan, real house, real square footage, and real yard. That is what your benefit gets you here. And when you reverse engineer it from a monthly payment you're comfortable with, like we talked about earlier, the picture gets even clearer. I put together a VA home buying guide specifically for Kansas City that covers most of the stuff we talked about and so much more. My team spent hours putting this together and we provide it to you for free at no cost. There are things in this guide that you cannot find on Zillow or Google. That stuff only comes from actually doing this in this market with this benefit for this community. Head to my website and sign up to get it sent straight to you. No catch, no sales call, just information. Here's the thing, I make these videos because I want to work with you. That is genuinely the whole reason I do this. Not to rack up views, not to sell you a course, not to get you into some funnel. I want to help veterans use a VA loan they earned and buy a home in a market I know inside and out. If you're thinking about buying in Kansas City, whether you're PCSing to Fort Leavenworth, retiring out here, relocating for work, or you've just been sitting on this benefit for years and it's finally time to use it, my team and I want to hear from you. My contact info is in the description and on the screen right now. Reach out, however is easiest for you, and we will be there. And remember, our mortgage team is licensed in nearly all 50 states, so whether you're watching this from a different state or right here in Kansas City, don't let geography stop you. Don't sit on this. This market moves, prices move, and the sooner we talk, the more options you'll have. I'm Joe Nelson. Let's get to work.